Welcome back, legends. Today, you're about to witness one of the most intense moments in martial arts history, a face-off between two icons, Bolo Yeung and Steven Seagal. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and watch till the very end, because what happens next will shock you. It all started at a prestigious martial arts event, packed with fans, students, and fellow fighters. The energy in the room was electric. People whispered excitedly, snapping photos and videos, trying to capture every moment. Bolo Yeung, known for his legendary strength and intimidating presence, was observing the room with his sharp, focused eyes. Across the hall, Steven Seagal, the calm and precise martial arts master, was quietly interacting with fans, radiating a composed and confident aura. For years, fans had speculated what would happen if these two legends ever crossed paths. And now, in this crowded arena, that moment seemed inevitable. The atmosphere was tense. You could feel it in the way people leaned forward, holding their breath, waiting for something extraordinary to unfold. Suddenly, Bolo Yeung stepped forward, a hint of a smile on his face, and addressed Seagal directly in front of everyone. The crowd froze. Cameras flashed. You could practically hear a pin drop as whispers spread across the room. Did he just challenge him? Seagal didn't flinch. His eyes met Bolo's with calm intensity. There was no shouting, no sudden movements, just the silent power of a man who had faced thousands of challenges and emerged victorious every time. The tension was palpable. The entire audience could sense that the next few seconds could change everything. Some fans started recording, while others whispered to their neighbors, speculating on who might make the first move. Every eye was fixed on the two legends. The moment wasn't just about strength or skill. It was about mental control, respect, and the kind of presence that only true masters can command. And that's when the crowd realized something extraordinary was about to happen. Bolo Yeung had made his move, and Steven Seagal's reaction would leave everyone stunned. No one in the room expected what would happen next, and neither did Bolo. If you think the showdown is going to be epic, type yes in the comments right now and stay tuned, because the real action is just beginning. The room went completely silent. Everyone was holding their breath, watching Bolo Yeung and Steven Seagal like two storms about to collide. Bolo had stepped forward, his eyes locked on Seagal's, and for a moment, it felt like time had stopped. Cameras flashed, phones recorded, and whispers rippled through the crowd. This is insane. They're both legends. Bolo Yeung's presence was intimidating. Known for his powerful physique and years of experience in martial arts, he had a reputation that made even the bravest pause for a moment. But Seagal didn't flinch. He stood with the calm confidence of someone who had trained his mind and body for decades, aware of every movement around him. His hands were relaxed, his posture steady, and his gaze unshakable. Bolo spoke first, his voice carrying across the hall. He didn't shout or curse. He simply made a challenge that drew every eye in the room. The audience could feel the intensity radiating from him. Seagal responded not with words, but with a subtle shift in stance. He didn't need to prove anything. The sheer calmness in his demeanor spoke volumes. The crowd's energy grew. Some fans whispered excitedly. Others raised their phones, trying to capture the tension between the two icons. You could see the admiration in their eyes, mixed with anticipation. No one wanted to blink, afraid they would miss the moment that would go down in history. Meanwhile, Bolo's body language showed confidence, but subtle hints of doubt began to appear. He had faced countless opponents in his career, but Seagal was different. The way Seagal controlled the space around him, the aura of discipline and experience, it was overwhelming even for a seasoned veteran. The audience sensed this shift too, and a low murmur ran through the crowd. At this point, the tension wasn't just physical, it was mental. Bolo was calculating his next move, while Seagal remained perfectly composed, like water flowing around a rock. Every fan in the room felt the suspense. They were witnessing not just a challenge, but a masterclass in mental discipline and control. And just when it seemed like the challenge could escalate, Bolo paused and glanced at the crowd. He noticed cameras rolling from all over, from fans in the front row to spectators filming from the back. He realized that everyone was not just watching a confrontation, they were watching history in the making. Before the action continues, I want to know where you are watching from. Which country or city is witnessing this legendary showdown with me right now? Comment below. As the seconds stretched, the tension grew almost unbearable. The audience leaned forward, whispering, murmuring, and exchanging glances. You could feel that something dramatic was about to happen, something that would make everyone in the room react, either in awe, shock, or excitement. Bolo shifted slightly, ready to take another step, while Seagal's calm eyes followed every move with precision. No one moved. The crowd waited in anticipation, knowing that whatever happened next would change the entire energy in the room. The challenge was no longer just Bolo's. It had become a test of control, discipline, and mental fortitude. And that's when the first real sign of action appeared. The moment was building, the tension was electric, and every viewer, both in the room and watching this video, could feel that the real showdown was just beginning. If you can feel the tension too, type legendary in the comments and stay with me, because what happens next will blow your mind. The energy in the room had reached a fever pitch. Every fan, journalist, and martial arts enthusiast was completely focused on the two legends standing mere feet apart. Bolo Yeung's imposing figure radiated power, while Steven Seagal's calm, almost serene presence created a strange contrast. It was a battle not just of strength, but of focus, strategy, and discipline. Bolo shifted his weight, stepping slightly closer. His eyes narrowed, clearly calculating his next move. Every muscle in his body was taut, ready for action. The crowd leaned forward, sensing that something monumental was about to happen. Cameras flashed as phones rolled, capturing every detail. You could hear murmurs ripple across the audience. This is unreal. Bolo is going all out. Seagal, however, did not react with aggression. He didn't flinch or raise his hands. He simply adjusted his stance ever so slightly, maintaining a perfect balance between readiness and control. The calmness of his demeanor made the tension even more intense. The audience realized quickly that this wasn't just a physical showdown. It was a test of nerves, discipline, and presence of mind. Bolo finally spoke, his voice deep and commanding, though not raised. "I've heard a lot about you, Seagal. Let's see if you're skilled, as they say." The words hung in the air like electricity. The audience gasped. Some leaned closer, whispering, did he just challenge him directly? Others raised their phones higher, trying to catch every second of this historic moment. For a brief second, time seemed to slow. Every eye in the room followed the subtle movements of Bolo and Seagal. Bolo's confidence was evident, but you could see the tiniest flicker of hesitation, a recognition that Seagal was a force to be reckoned with. Seagal's calm, unwavering gaze did more to intimidate than any aggressive gesture could. The tension wasn't just between the two martial artists. It had spread to the audience. Friends turned to each other, whispering, "Who's going to make the first move? This could be legendary or unbelievable." Every spectator felt the suspense like a physical weight pressing down. Some fans gripped their seats. Others raised their fists in excitement, unable to contain themselves. Bolo flexed slightly, preparing for a quick step forward, when the subtle difference in their approaches became clear. Bolo's energy was explosive, raw, and forceful. Seagal's was controlled, measured, and precise. The room itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the collision of these two worlds, sheer power versus flawless technique. If you were standing in this crowd, would you cheer for Bolo or Seagal? Comment your pick below. Let's see which legend gets the most fans watching this. The seconds dragged on, each one heavier than the last. The crowd could feel that a move was coming, but no one could predict who would act first. Even Bolo's stance hinted at his inner calculation. Every step, every muscle, every shift of weight was deliberate. He wasn't just relying on strength. He was trying to test Seagal to see if the calm exterior would break. Meanwhile, Seagal remained composed. His stillness spoke louder than words. Some in the audience started whispering to each other, "He doesn't even need to move, just look at him." The tension grew so thick it could almost be cut with a knife. Then, almost imperceptibly, Bolo made his first subtle motion, a small step forward, testing Seagal's reaction. Instantly, the crowd leaned in. Cameras recorded every micro-movement. This wasn't just a challenge anymore. It was history in the making. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, if you were facing a legend like this, would you stay calm like Seagal or charge forward like Bolo? Let me know. The atmosphere was electric. You could feel the excitement, the fear, and the awe in equal measure. Every fan knew that in the next few seconds, something unforgettable was about to happen, and they were all about to witness it live. The room had reached an almost unbearable level of tension. Bolo Yeung and Steven Seagal were mere feet apart, each a master of their craft, and the energy between them was electric. Every eye in the audience was fixed on the two legends. You could feel the anticipation in the air, as if the room itself was holding its breath, waiting for the first true move to be made. At first, the crowd was focused solely on the standoff. They admired Bolo's raw strength, his towering presence, and the confidence he radiated. But as the seconds ticked by, whispers started spreading like wildfire. Someone in the back of the hall leaned forward and muttered, "Wait, that's Steven Seagal." Instantly, heads turned. Phones were raised higher, and the audience began whispering among themselves, "No way. That's him. The man we've all seen in movies? This is incredible." Recognition spread like fire through the crowd. People who had been focused only on Bolo's boldness suddenly realized the significance of the moment. For a moment, Bolo seemed to sense the shift too. He glanced around and noticed the excitement building among the spectators. He realized that the entire room was watching him, not just for what he would do, but for what Seagal would do in response. The weight of that attention was immense, even for a seasoned veteran like him. Seagal, on the other hand, remained calm. His awareness of the room and its shifting energy was evident. While everyone else reacted, he continued to observe, analyzing Bolo's every movement with precision. The contrast between the two masters had never been so stark. Bolo's intensity versus Seagal's composed mastery. The audience couldn't take their eyes off them. Every subtle gesture, every shift in stance, every twitch of a muscle was magnified by the collective attention in the room. And then, whispers started again, growing louder. "This is more than a challenge. This is history unfolding in front of our eyes." People began pointing out details. The way Bolo's eyes flicked, the tension in his shoulders, the measured breathing of Seagal. The realization of who these men were added a layer of drama that no one could ignore. It wasn't just a standoff. It was a lesson in control, strategy, and mental focus. The crowd became more vocal. Murmurs turned into quiet exclamations. "He's not even moving. That's insane. Bolo's confidence is incredible. Seagal looks untouchable." Fans and martial artists alike were analyzing every tiny moment. Some held their hands over their mouths, others whispered excitedly to their friends, and a few raised their fists in anticipation. At this point, the room was fully engaged. People weren't just watching, they were participating in the tension. Every person present felt like they were part of the moment, feeling the energy between the two legends. And that's when the real suspense began. Bolo made a subtle movement, testing the waters. Seagal's eyes followed, unwavering, unflinching, every motion measured and controlled. The crowd noticed the tiny shift, the first spark that hinted a true engagement was about to happen. Whispers rose again, this time with a sense of awe. "He's testing him. Seagal is waiting. This is insane." Who do you think has the upper hand right now? Bolo's raw strength or Seagal's calm precision? Comment below with your pick, and let's see which legend wins your vote. The anticipation built to a near-explosive level. Everyone in the room knew that the next move, however small, could change the entire dynamic of the standoff. Every fan, every student, every martial arts enthusiast felt like a witness to history, caught in a moment where respect, skill, and strategy collided in real time. As Bolo held his stance and Seagal maintained his calm, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about a challenge. It was about mental fortitude, discipline, and understanding the power of timing. The room waited, the cameras rolled, and the tension hung thick in the air, signaling that the next few seconds would be unforgettable. The tension in the room was now almost unbearable. Every spectator could feel it in their chest, as if the air itself had thickened with anticipation. Bolo Yeung and Steven Seagal were locked in a silent standoff, but it was clear to everyone present that this was about to escalate. The crowd leaned forward, cameras raised, phones recording, and whispers echoing throughout the hall. Bolo shifted his stance slightly, testing the waters, his eyes locked on Seagal's unwavering gaze. His movements were deliberate, not reckless, but calculated. Every muscle in his body was coiled, ready to spring into action. For years, he had trained for challenges like this, yet even he could sense the gravity of the moment. The audience, sensing the change, collectively held its breath. Seagal, meanwhile, remained calm and measured. His hands were relaxed at his sides, his feet firmly planted, and his eyes focused. He exuded a quiet authority that made it clear. He was aware of every subtle shift Bolo made, every flicker of tension in his shoulders. The calm precision he displayed contrasted sharply with Bolo's explosive energy, making the moment even more charged. And then it happened. Bolo made a small but aggressive forward step, testing Seagal's response. The audience gasped, cameras clicking rapidly. Some leaned closer, craning their necks to catch every movement. Seagal didn't flinch, didn't raise his hands. Instead, with a fluid motion almost too subtle to notice, he shifted his weight and positioned himself perfectly to counter Bolo's momentum. The crowd erupted into whispered astonishment. Even the most experienced martial arts enthusiasts in the audience exchanged glances. Did you see that? He's ready for anything. Seagal doesn't need to attack. His presence alone is enough. Every eye was glued to the precise movements unfolding before them. Bolo's expression changed subtly, the first sign of hesitation. He had expected a certain reaction, a challenge met with equal aggression, but Seagal's calm precision had thrown him off balance. The crowd could sense it immediately, and whispers of awe spread rapidly. The tension had shifted. The predator had met a force it hadn't anticipated. The energy in the room surged. Every subtle movement Bolo made was met with calculated counterweight by Seagal. It wasn't a fight in the traditional sense, but a display of skill, timing, and mental mastery. Each motion, no matter how small, was magnified in the eyes of the spectators. Some held their breath. Others whispered, "This is history in the making," and a few raised their fists, caught in the excitement. Who's showing more control right now? Bolo's raw power or Seagal's calm precision? Comment below and let us know. As Bolo tried another small forward motion, Seagal's response was flawless. He didn't strike or provoke. He simply adjusted his stance, absorbing and redirecting the energy without a single wasted movement. Bolo took a brief pause, realizing for the first time that this wasn't just a physical contest. It was a battle of awareness, strategy, and mental discipline. The crowd was on the edge of their seats. Every whispered speculation, every camera flash, every gasped breath added to the intensity. People were no longer just watching a confrontation. They were witnessing a masterclass in martial arts intelligence, timing, and respect for the craft. If you were in Bolo's shoes, could you stay calm under pressure like Seagal? Or would you push forward? Type calm or aggressive in the comments. The tension had reached its peak. Everyone knew that the next move, however subtle, would determine the tone for the rest of this legendary encounter. The standoff had evolved from a simple challenge into a spectacle of skill, strategy, and respect, leaving the audience completely captivated. Bolo took another step, and Seagal mirrored it, perfectly balanced and in control. The room was electric, each spectator aware that the most unforgettable moment of the event was unfolding right in front of them. Every camera, every whisper, every gasp told the story. This was a confrontation for the ages, and a legend of both fighters was being written in real time. The room was electric, every spectator frozen in anticipation. Bolo Yeung had just made another forward move, testing Steven Seagal's precision, but this time, something shifted. Seagal's calm mastery became impossible to ignore. Every adjustment, every subtle movement demonstrated complete control. For the first time, Bolo's confident posture faltered. The audience sensed it immediately. Bolo's eyes widened slightly, a hint of surprise creeping in. He had anticipated some resistance, of course. Seagal was a legend, but the level of composure and precision he was facing was far beyond expectation. The whispers in the crowd grew louder. He didn't see that coming. Seagal's control is unmatched. People leaned forward, barely able to blink, caught in the moment of realization. Seagal didn't move aggressively. He didn't need to. His calm, measured stance and unshakable focus were enough to create doubt in Bolo's mind. The energy in the room shifted dramatically. The awe and tension transformed into a moment of revelation. Bolo's body language spoke volumes. The slight hesitation in his steps, the subtle pause in his breath, and the acknowledgement that he had misjudged his opponent. The crowd erupted in whispers and exclamations. Cameras captured every micro-expression. People were pointing, some gasping, others muttering to their friends. He's realizing it. Bolo underestimated him. Fans who had been supporting Bolo's boldness now watched in awe as the scene transformed into a clear display of Seagal's mastery. Have you ever witnessed someone instantly regret a challenge? Type yes or no in the comments. I want to see how many of you can relate. Bolo's moment of hesitation was brief, but undeniable. He shifted back slightly, recalculating his strategy. The audience could feel the mental shift happening in real time. This wasn't just a battle of fists. It was a battle of focus, discipline, and presence. Every person watching knew that the situation had changed. The tables had turned. Seagal's eyes remained fixed, calm, and steady. He exuded confidence, but there was no arrogance. It was a display of mastery that left the audience in awe. Bolo's regret was not humiliation. It was respect for the skill, experience, and composure of a true martial artist. The room felt the weight of that lesson. Power without control can only take you so far. As the moment settled, the crowd began to cheer softly, acknowledging the brilliance of both fighters. They were witnessing history, a rare spectacle where skill, strategy, and mental fortitude were on full display. The tension eased slightly, but excitement remained. People continued whispering. That was incredible. Seagal didn't even have to move much, yet he controlled the entire encounter. Which quality impressed you more, Bolo's raw power or Seagal's calm control? Comment below with your pick, and let's see which one wins the crowd. Bolo straightened his stance, nodding subtly in acknowledgement. There was no anger, no frustration, only respect. The lesson was clear to everyone watching. True mastery comes from discipline, awareness, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. The crowd erupted in applause, not just for Seagal's precision, but for the display of respect and sportsmanship between two martial arts legends. The cameras continued rolling, capturing every moment for fans around the world. The scene had shifted from a tense challenge to a lesson in humility, focus, and respect, and the audience was completely captivated, emotionally invested in every second. The room finally exhaled. The tension that had gripped every corner of the hall for what felt like hours slowly melted away. Bolo Yeung stood tall, a subtle nod acknowledging the skill and composure of Steven Seagal. There was no anger, no bitterness, only respect. The audience erupted into applause, cheering both legends for what they had witnessed. Cameras continued to flash, capturing every expression, every gesture, and every subtle movement. Fans were recording for social media, eager to share the moment with the world. Within minutes, videos of the confrontation started circulating online, and people across the globe were glued to their screens, experiencing the intensity second by second. Comments poured in from fans everywhere, praising not just the physical prowess of the two martial artists, but the respect and mental discipline they had shown under pressure. The lesson of the encounter became clear. Raw strength can be impressive, but composure, focus, and strategic thinking command true respect. Bolo's moment of hesitation was not weakness. It was an acknowledgement of mastery, and the crowd recognized that instantly. People whispered to each other, "That was incredible." Both of them are true legends. Steven Seagal, always calm and measured, gave a small bow, acknowledging Bolo and the audience alike. His actions reinforced the principle that true martial artists respect not only their opponents, but also the audience and the art itself. Every movement had been deliberate, every pause meaningful, and every reaction a testament to decades of experience. Fans in the hall were buzzing with excitement, replaying the micro moments in their minds. Some noted Bolo's explosive energy and commanding presence, while others marveled at Seagal's calm authority and timing. Social media lit up as clips were shared widely, with hashtags trending and discussions spreading internationally. The story of the showdown became an example not only of martial arts skill, but also of mental strength, humility, and respect. Who impressed you more in this epic encounter? Bolo's raw intensity or Seagal's calm precision? Comment below with your pick and join the conversation. The aftermath wasn't just about recognition or applause. It was about inspiration. Young martial artists and fans alike were inspired to focus not only on strength, but on discipline, awareness, and control. People were discussing how mental composure could often outweigh brute force in critical situations. Bolo's acknowledgement of Seagal's mastery became a powerful lesson in humility and growth. The energy of the event lingered even after the legends had left the stage. Conversations continued, videos circulated, and the story became a topic of fascination across forums, social media, and fan groups worldwide. Fans shared their excitement, describing the moment as historic and unforgettable, praising the display of skill, timing, and respect. If you believe true mastery comes from focus, discipline, and respect, type legends in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one, where courage, skill, and mental strength meet in unforgettable moments. In the end, it wasn't about who dominated or who faltered. It was about witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime encounter between two icons, each demonstrating the values that make legends truly unforgettable. The audience left inspired, and viewers online around the world joined in, learning a timeless lesson. In martial arts and in life, control, awareness, and respect often matter more than sheer strength. The showdown between Bolo Yeung and Steven Seagal became a story told for years to come. Not for conflict, but for the respect, discipline, and awe inspired in everyone who witnessed it. Thanks so much for watching, Legends. I really appreciate each one of you for sticking around. If you enjoyed this epic showdown and want to see more incredible stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our community.